poor girl sleeps in playground every night. Her heartbreaking story devastates an icy millionaire. Before we dive in, drop a comment below. Where in the world are you watching from? Hit the subscribe button and turn on notification for more emotional videos. At exactly 9:47 p.m., when the last jogger rounds the corner and the streetlights flicker on, Zoe emerges from behind the community center. She knows this timing by heart. Too early, and the evening dog walkers might spot her. Too late, and the security patrol car makes its lazy swing through the neighborhood. The playground sits forgotten behind Riverside Elementary, surrounded by thick hedges that create a natural fortress. What appears to be abandoned equipment becomes something else entirely in her hands. The large wooden slide transforms into shelter. The support beams become walls. The sandbox becomes her storage unit. Watch her work. Every movement deliberate. Every choice calculated for survival. She pulls 3 pieces of cardboard from behind the monkey bars, each one carefully selected for size and dryness. The first creates a barrier against the ground's chill. The second shields her from wind that cuts through the wooden slats. The third, that's her ceiling, angled perfectly to deflect rain while allowing air to flow. Her torn backpack contains everything she owns. A faded photograph tucked inside a plastic bag. A book with pages soft from countless readings. One spare shirt, clean despite its frayed edges. A pair of socks without holes. And a small blanket, hand-knitted, its colors still bright against the gray of her world. But this playground is just her bedroom. Her real life happens elsewhere. At 6:30 a.m., before the first teacher arrives, she dismantles her shelter. Cardboard folded precisely, hidden where only she knows to look. By 7 a.m., she's walking through the library doors the moment they open. Here, she becomes someone else. A student researching for school. A teenager checking social media. A girl with somewhere to belong. The librarians never question why she's always first to arrive. They don't notice how she times her bathroom visits perfectly, or how she positions herself near electrical outlets to charge her phone. 3 hours of studying. Mathematics from online courses. History videos with headphones. Essays typed on public computers. She's determined to graduate, even if no school knows her name. By noon, she's at the community center. The shower costs $2 she earns by sweeping the front steps. Hot water for exactly 4 minutes. She's learned to wash her hair, scrub her body, and rinse completely in that precious time. Then comes her job. Old Mr. Rodriguez at the corner market doesn't call it employment. He calls it helping. She stocks shelves, sweeps floors, carries boxes from delivery trucks. In return, he slides expired yogurt across the counter. Day-old bread. Fruit with soft spots that's still perfectly good. It's not charity, she tells herself. It's work. It's earning her place in the world. But look closer at what survival costs. That cough that started 3 weeks ago? It's deeper now, rattling in her chest when she wakes. The holes in her shoes let in every puddle, every splash of October rain. Her jacket, thin when summer ended, offers no protection against nights that drop below 40 degrees. Winter is coming. Not the gentle winter of warm homes and hot chocolate. The brutal winter that kills people who sleep outside. She knows this. She sees it in the way her breath fogs in the morning air. She feels it in how her fingers go numb by midnight. Yet she never stops moving forward. Never stops learning. Never stops believing that tomorrow might offer something better. She avoids police officers who might ask questions. Ducks behind buildings when social workers pass by. She's heard the stories from other street kids about foster homes and group facilities. About being just another case number in an overloaded system. So she chooses this. The playground. The careful routine. The quiet dignity of making her own way. But dignity doesn't keep you warm. Pride doesn't heal a persistent cough. And determination might not be enough when the first snow falls. She doesn't know that tonight, everything changes. That someone else drives past this forgotten corner, someone whose life is about to collide with hers in ways that will save them both. 27 floors above the city, Robert Sterling stands at his penthouse window, seeing nothing. Behind him, Sterling Industries spreads across 3 buildings downtown. $53 million in personal wealth. A software empire that started in his garage 20 years ago and now employs thousands. Success beyond most people's wildest dreams. Yet he lives like a man in exile. His penthouse spans 4,000 square feet of marble and glass. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer panoramic views of the city below. Italian leather furniture that costs more than most people's cars. Art collections worth millions hanging on walls he barely notices. But walk through these rooms and you'll find something missing. No family photos. No personal touches. No signs that anyone actually lives here. Just the cold perfection of a museum display. Robert's wife left 5 years ago, taking their daughter across the country. The divorce papers cited emotional abandonment and inability to connect. His daughter calls twice a year. Christmas and her birthday. Even those conversations last less than 5 minutes. He tells himself it's better this way. People are investments. Relationships are transactions. Everyone wants something from him, and what they want is always money. In the business world, he's known as the man who shows no mercy. Last month, he fired his assistant for arriving 3 minutes late. The month before, another one for forgetting to include his preferred pen in a meeting packet. He's dismissed executives for showing family photos during presentations, calling it unprofessional weakness. His company handbook includes a specific rule: Mr. Sterling is not to be disturbed with charitable requests, personal problems, or sob stories of any kind. Employees learn quickly that emotion is a liability in his presence. Everyone is responsible for their own success or failure, he tells his board of directors. No excuses. No exceptions. Results are all that matter. This philosophy built his empire. It also destroyed his humanity. Now that empire faces its greatest threat. A former business partner has filed a lawsuit claiming Robert deliberately destroyed his family's company through underhanded tactics. The allegations include corporate espionage, stolen contracts, and predatory business practices. The stress shows in ways money can't fix. His doctor warned him last week about dangerously high blood pressure. He hasn't slept through the night in months. His hands shake when he thinks no one is watching. But Robert learned long ago to hide vulnerability. His childhood taught him that achievement was the only currency that mattered. Parents who measured love in report cards and trophy cases. Boarding schools where weakness meant becoming a target. A world where showing emotion meant showing defeat. So he built walls. First around his heart. Then around his life. Now he lives inside a fortress of his own making, surrounded by wealth but starved of connection. His evenings follow the same pattern. Work until midnight. Review contracts until his eyes blur. Fall asleep at his desk, wake up with papers stuck to his face. The cycle repeats every single day. He hasn't laughed in months. Hasn't touched another human being except for business handshakes. Hasn't felt anything beyond the cold satisfaction of closing another deal. Robert Sterling is emotionally homeless. Living in luxury while dying inside. Surrounded by everything money can buy, yet possessing nothing that makes life worth living. Tonight, his driver will take a different route home. A detour caused by construction that will change everything. Because sometimes the universe forces even the most isolated man to see beyond his walls. And what he's about to see will crack the foundation of everything he believes about strength, weakness, and what it truly means to survive. October rain pounds the windshield as Robert's black sedan crawls through evening traffic. Construction cones force his driver down unfamiliar streets, past neighborhoods Robert never bothers to notice. Inside the car, he's absorbed in quarterly reports. Phone pressed to his ear, barking orders to his legal team about tomorrow's depositions. The world outside might as well not exist. The Henderson account needs to close by Friday or we terminate the contract, he snaps into the phone. No extensions. No excuses. His driver turns left onto Maple Street, steering around orange barriers. The elementary school slides past Robert's peripheral vision like background scenery. Just another building in another neighborhood he'll never see again. A shadow shifting behind the playground equipment. Something that doesn't belong in the empty space. Robert's eyes dart up from his documents, catching the motion through rain-blurred glass. Probably just a dog, he mutters, returning to his papers. Or trash blowing in the wind. But the movement isn't random. It's purposeful. Methodical. Someone is back there, moving with careful intention in the darkness. Robert finds himself watching despite himself. The figure moves between the swings and slides with the familiarity of routine. Not a trespasser stumbling through unfamiliar territory. Someone who knows this place intimately. Stop here, Robert hears himself say. His driver glances in the rearview mirror, surprised. So? Just stop and wait a moment. The sedan pulls to the curb. Robert slides forward in his seat, peering through the passenger window. Rain streams down the glass, but he can still make out the figure behind the play structure. A girl. Small, maybe teenage. Moving with practiced efficiency in the shadows. She's arranging something on the ground. Cardboard pieces, positioned with architectural precision. Each movement deliberate, each placement calculated. This isn't someone seeking temporary shelter from the rain. This is someone setting up home. Robert watches her crawl beneath the large slide, disappearing into the makeshift shelter she's constructed. The ordinariness of it shocks him. She settles in like she's done this 1,000 times before. Because she has. Something twists in Robert's chest. An emotion he hasn't felt in decades crashes over him without warning. He's 8 years old again, crouched in his treehouse while his parents scream at each other below. Invisible. Forgotten. Desperately alone while the world continues around him. The sensation hits him like a physical blow. That bone-deep loneliness. That feeling of being completely unseen while hiding in plain sight. He sees himself in her careful movements. The same desperate dignity. The same refusal to completely surrender, even when the world has abandoned you. Sir, his driver asks quietly. Should we go? Robert's first instinct screams at him to drive away. To forget what he's seen. To return to his fortress and pretend this moment never happened. It's what he's always done. What he's built his entire life around doing. But he can't move. Can't look away. Something about her quiet determination holds him frozen in place. She's not begging. Not causing trouble. Not asking anyone for anything. She's simply existing with a grace that puts his own hollow existence to shame. "We'll wait," Robert whispers, surprising himself. For the first time in 20 years, Robert Sterling can't control his next move. The ice around his heart develops its first hairline crack. And through that tiny fissure, something long dormant begins to stir. He doesn't know it yet, but this moment will change everything. Both their lives are about to transform in ways neither could imagine. Night after night, Robert tells himself he's just taking a different route home. Just curious about the construction delays. Nothing more. But his driver knows better. The same detour every evening at 9:45 p.m. The same stop by the elementary school. The same silent watching from behind tinted glass. "Just for a minute," Robert always says. But minutes stretch into half hours as he studies the girl's routine with the focus he once reserved for hostile corporate takeovers. Tonight, she's reading beneath the streetlight's amber glow. A textbook balanced on her knees, head bent in concentration. The wind whips through the playground, but she doesn't look up. Doesn't acknowledge the cold biting at her exposed hands. Robert watches her lips move silently, working through mathematical equations. The same determination he recognizes in his own late-night boardroom sessions. But there's something pure about her focus. Something untainted by greed or ambition. She's learning for the joy of learning. Not for profit margins or market domination. At 10:30, she closes the book and begins her nightly ritual. Each piece of cardboard folded with origami precision. Each item placed in its designated hiding spot behind the monkey bars. The same careful system every single night. Order in chaos. Dignity in desperation. Robert has fired employees for less organization than this homeless teenager displays in her daily survival. Then comes the moment that shatters his remaining defenses. A scraggly orange tabby emerges from the shadows, meowing plaintively. Robert expects her to shoo it away. Resources are scarce when you're fighting for survival. Every scrap of food means the difference between hunger and satisfaction. Instead, she breaks her day-old roll in half. Gives the larger piece to the cat. Robert's throat constricts. When did he last share anything without calculating the return on investment? When did he last give without expecting something back? She scratches behind the cat's ears with gentle fingers, whispering words Robert can't hear. For a moment, she's not a homeless teenager. She's just a girl showing kindness to another lost soul. The cat purrs loudly enough for Robert to hear through his car window. A sound of pure contentment in a place where contentment shouldn't exist. She has nothing, Robert whispers to himself. And she's giving half of it away. His attempts at rationalization grow weaker each night. Not my problem, he tells himself, but the words taste like ash. She must have made bad choices, he argues, but her careful discipline contradicts every assumption about failure and fault. The girl coughs, a sound that echoes off empty buildings and pierces the night air. Each spasm racking her small frame. The cough that started as an annoyance has become something deeper, more concerning. Her jacket, thin when October began, offers no protection against November's cruel bite. Robert can see her shivering even from 50 feet away. Winter is coming for her. And winter doesn't negotiate. Meanwhile, unknown to Robert, lawsuit documents pile higher on his office desk. Deposition scheduled. Character witnesses lined up against him. The business partner's legal team has dug up every ruthless decision, every competitor destroyed, every employee crushed under his pursuit of success. His doctor calls with blood pressure readings that would alarm a healthy 20-year-old. His therapist requests urgent sessions he's too proud to attend. His world is cracking from internal pressure while he sits in a car, obsessing over a girl who doesn't know he exists. But Zoe continues her routine, unaware of the watching eyes. Each morning at dawn, she dismantles her shelter and walks to the library. Each afternoon, she works for Mr. Rodriguez, earning food through honest labor. Each evening, she studies under streetlights, preparing for a future that seems impossible from her current circumstances. The stray cat has become her constant companion. She's named him Professor, Robert realizes, overhearing her whispered conversations. "What do you think, Professor? Should I focus on algebra or history tonight?" She's created family from nothing. Found companionship in abandonment. Built hope from scraps. Everything Robert has dismissed as weakness, she transforms into strength. His sleepless nights multiply. Not from lawsuit stress or business pressure, but from questions that won't silence themselves. What happens when the first snow falls? What happens when that cough becomes pneumonia? What happens when her thin frame can't generate enough warmth to survive another night? For 30 years, Robert has believed that success means standing alone at the top. That strength means needing no one. That survival belongs only to the ruthless. But this 15-year-old girl is rewriting every rule he's lived by. Showing him that true strength might mean sharing your bread with a hungry cat. That real success might mean maintaining hope when hope seems impossible. Tomorrow night, the temperature will drop below freezing for the first time this season. Robert knows this because he's started checking weather forecasts obsessively. Tomorrow night, he'll have to decide. Drive away and let winter claim another victim. Or step out of his fortress and into a world where compassion matters more than profit margins. The ice around his heart continues cracking. And through those widening fissures, something dangerous begins growing. Something that looks suspiciously like hope. Tuesday night arrives with the season's first freezing rain. Ice pellets hammer the playground like tiny bullets, turning every surface into a treacherous sheet of glass. Robert's sedan idles at the usual spot, windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the storm. He should leave. Any rational person would avoid this weather. But rationality abandoned him weeks ago. Through the driving sleet, he sees her silhouette beneath the slide. But something's different tonight. Her movements are wrong. Desperate instead of methodical. She's shivering so violently that her makeshift shelter shakes with each spasm. The thin jacket that barely protected her in October offers nothing against November's frozen assault. Then comes the coughing fit. Deep, rattling convulsions that double her over. Each spasm more violent than the last. Robert can hear it through his closed windows, over the engine noise, above the storm's fury. She tries to muffle the sound with her sleeve, still worried about disturbing neighbors who don't even know she exists. Even in agony, she maintains her invisible dignity. The coughing subsides, leaving her gasping in the frigid air. She pulls the knitted blanket tighter around her shoulders with trembling fingers. The same careful motion she's made every night, as if routine alone can protect her from reality. She opens her textbook with hands so cold they can barely turn the pages. Ice forms on the paper as rain strikes the open book, but she keeps reading. Keeps learning. Keeps believing in a tomorrow that may never come. Robert's chest constricts with a pain he hasn't felt in decades. The image of his daughter crashes through his consciousness. Not a memory, but pure emotion. The primal terror every parent feels when their child is in danger. This girl could be his daughter. Anyone's daughter. Someone's child fighting for survival while the world sleeps in warm beds. Another coughing fit erupts, more severe than the first. She doubles over, her small frame racked with spasms that seem too powerful for her body to contain. And in that moment, every wall Robert has built crumbles to dust. 30 years of cold logic evaporate. Every rationalization dissolves. Every excuse for inaction dies in his throat. This isn't about charity. This isn't about weakness or strength. This isn't about deserving or undeserving. This is about a human being dying while he watches from the comfort of his heated car. I can't, he whispers to himself. I can't just sit here. His hand moves to the door handle before his mind can object. The carefully constructed fortress of indifference collapses in seconds, leaving him exposed to feelings he's spent decades avoiding. Responsibility. Connection. The terrifying recognition that another person's pain has become his own. He steps into the freezing rain. Imagine witnessing this struggle. What would you do? Could you look away? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story is gripping your heart, hit subscribe. We uncover profound emotional stories like this every day. For the first time in 20 years, Robert Sterling acts without calculating the cost. Without weighing the consequences. Without protecting himself first. The ice-cold rain soaks through his expensive suit in seconds. His Italian leather shoes slip on the frozen pavement. But he keeps walking toward the playground, toward the girl, toward a decision that will change everything. Behind him, his driver watches in shock as the most predictable man in the city does something completely unpredictable. The fortress has fallen. The ice has shattered. And what emerges from the wreckage is something Robert Sterling hasn't been in decades. Human. Robert doesn't approach her that frozen night. Wisdom tells him a stranger emerging from the darkness would terrify rather than comfort. Instead, he does what he knows best. He mobilizes resources with the same efficiency he once used to destroy competitors. By morning, he's contacted 3 different social service agencies. Not the overloaded government systems, but private organizations with sterling reputations. People who understand that some situations require immediate, discreet action. Within 48 hours, a kind woman named Mrs. Allison from Family Haven approaches Zoe at the library. Not with authority or demands, but with a simple offer. A warm studio apartment, medical care for her persistent cough, and something Zoe hasn't heard in months. Someone believes in your future. The apartment isn't luxury. Just safety. A bed with real sheets. A kitchenette stocked with groceries. Heat that doesn't depend on cardboard walls and hope. But the real gift comes wrapped in an envelope. A letter explaining that an anonymous benefactor wants to fund her education. Not just high school completion, but college tuition. Books, supplies, living expenses. Everything she needs to become the teacher she dreams of being. Zoe reads the letter 7 times before the words sink in. Her hands shake worse than they did in the freezing rain. Why? She whispers to Mrs. Allison. Because someone saw your strength and decided it deserved support. For the first time in 8 months, Zoe cries. Not from despair, but from the overwhelming relief of being seen. Of mattering to someone in a world that had rendered her invisible. She vows to honor this investment. To prove worthy of faith she never expected to receive. Meanwhile, something unprecedented happens to Robert Sterling. Purpose beyond profit. Each day brings updates on Zoe's progress. Her cough responding to treatment. Her grade soaring as malnutrition no longer clouds her thinking. Her acceptance into the education program at the local college. The lawsuit that once consumed his thoughts feels smaller now. Important, but not life-defining. He's discovered something more valuable than winning. He's discovered what it means to matter in someone else's story. 3 weeks after that frozen night, he makes a phone call he's avoided for months. His daughter's number, dialed with trembling fingers. "Dad." Her voice carries surprise, then cautious warmth. "I was wondering," Robert says, his voice softer than it's been in years, "if you'd like to have dinner sometime. I have some things I want to tell you." The conversation lasts 23 minutes. The longest they've spoken in 5 years. When Zoe graduates college 4 years later, she doesn't know that a certain millionaire sits in the back row, watching with quiet pride as she crosses the stage. She doesn't know that helping her taught him how to help himself. She only knows that someone believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. From cardboard beneath a playground slide to textbooks on a worn desk. From shivering in frozen rain to studying by lamplight in safety. From invisible and forgotten to seen and valued. This is the distance traveled when one person decides another person matters. Zoe's journey from the shadows to the classroom proves that dignity exists in the most unexpected places. That strength isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it whispers in the careful folding of cardboard. Sometimes it glows in the sharing of bread with a hungry cat. Robert's transformation reminds us that the hardest hearts can crack when confronted with quiet courage. That true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts, but in the lives we touch. That the most successful people are often the most broken, building fortresses to hide their own homelessness of the soul. Their story continues. Zoe works toward her teaching degree, determined to help other forgotten children find their voices. Robert slowly rebuilds relationships he thought were lost forever, learning that vulnerability isn't weakness. The playground sits empty now, but its lesson echoes, we are all closer to each other's struggles than we realize. This story proves that sometimes, the most profound connections happen in the shadows. If Zoe and Robert's journey moved you, please share this video. Let's spread this message of resilience and unexpected hope. And don't forget to subscribe to the Mr. Morgan Stories and ring the notification bell for more emotional, real-life tales that challenge and inspire. Your support helps us share these vital stories. Thank you for watching, and remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind.